And boop. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Tavern After Dark. We are here with my good buddy RJ. We actually served together. Got out about a month apart, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, everybody, welcome back. Thank you again for tuning in. If this is your first time, great. Please like, subscribe, comment, share with somebody that might benefit from this. RJ is going to go in depth today about a few things. He's got a nice list of notes here. But as you can see, things are a little different tonight. We are actually live here outside, and we're not actually teleconferencing over our phone. So, RJ, thank you again for coming.
Hey, not a problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So we're going to get into some great stuff. I want to dive into, first, of course, RJ's story. Briefly, of course, how he got to the Army, why he got in the Army. So we're going to talk about that. But if you haven't listened to the last episode where I did talk about some of the W6 methods, the R3 method, and the DEC mindset, we'll talk about some of that tonight. And I know RJ kind of embodies some of that. And we'll get into how we served together. But similar to Z, we actually all served together. So if you actually tuned into that episode with Z, then you'll know kind of some of this backstory. But RJ, I want to turn it to you. If you could, tell us just a little bit of, what your history was, why you decided to join the United States Army.
That's a good one. Initially, I made up my mind that I wanted to join. I was coming back from a job with my good buddy. I was sitting in the passenger seat, and it just dawned on me. I got this feeling of like goosebumps. I was like, hey, man, go do something with yourself. So at that point,
kind of a purpose, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Ended up going down to the recruiter's office. And initially, I wanted to be a helicopter mechanic, something to set me up for the outside world if I decided not to stay in and whatnot. I get there, and all of a sudden, got this gung-ho Special Forces recruiter. I'm like, oh, boy, he's badass.
He wants to do all the cool shit, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So then he's like, hey, come here. So I get in there. He starts talking to me, shows me the SFAS videos and stuff like that. He's like, think you're up for it? I've been an athlete my whole life, so it's like, hell yeah, dude, let's do it.
High speed.
Yeah. So ended up signing 18 X-ray contract, going in that route. Endured a lot, I'll tell you that. I don't know if you want to go in depth with that, or
we can definitely get into that. We'll bring you back, of course, for another episode, but I definitely want to dive into that at some point for you, because I know you and I talked about that, but that was a big decision for you, and you ultimately ended to 92 Romeo. So give us a really quick rundown of how that happened. I know there's a lot to it.
Yeah. Long story short, when you're not good enough, they reclass you to the needs of the Army. And at this point, mentally exhausted, I was like, all right, finally get into a job that's official. I can actually be established in one spot.
Right.
Potentially not leave. Send me up to Virginia for, 16 weeks? Something like that? 14?
Yeah, I think it was 16. Or is it, I think it's 20 now. I forget. I didn't go there out. So
yeah, so it was different. So going in there, you didn't have an established job to begin with.
Right.
So you're considered an MOST, is transfer.
Yeah.
So we were treated like adults, but not treated like adults. Still trainees in a sense.
But you had your own barracks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys
were the cool crowd. Yeah.
It's not off post.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it wasn't too bad, but it was different.
Yeah.
Going from one area where the minimum age to be SFAS was 21.
Right.
And then I'm going back in, I think I was 22, 23 at the time.
Okay.
Not like you.
Thanks for the
God
reminder.
bless you, man. But going from all this, everybody's like in shape. Everybody's like ironing. What's that saying? Iron sharpens iron, right?
Right.
Going from that to
the iron sharpens steel. I don't know. We'll have to look it up.
It's all right. I'm from a small town.
It's
We'll just blame it on that. Thanks, Chino Valley. So.
Oh yeah, California.
Arizona, so.
Oh,
come on
yeah,
now.
All right, I got you.
Wow.
Dude, sorry, I'm not from there. My bad. anyways.
Yeah. So going from motivated, high-speed group of guys to people joining for different reasons, whether it be citizenship, education,
Right.
Just getting away from home. You know, two different worlds.
Yeah.
And then going into the training, upon completion of all of that, got orders to special forces groups. And I guess that was the deal that the higher ups had. It was like, all right, since they failed whatever, they're gonna, instead of going to Benning or Bragg and
Yeah.
Italy and stuff like that, it was like, all right, this is the route that they wanted to take. They didn't get the job that they wanted, so we'll give them the orders to where they wanted to go to, per se. 2 weeks from graduation, orders get pulled. I was supposed to be going to 7th group, but also glad I didn't.
So
like, it sucked.
I talked about this in the last episode, just kind of go back. So, for me, I got my orders 3 days before I left.
Oh boy.
So I was literally like, as soon as I got my orders, it was like house hunting. Virtual toured the house and like, dude, but yeah, 3 days, bro. 2 weeks is ridiculous too. But it's like, they could plan better. But anyway.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't complain that much. My wife was already in North Carolina, had an apartment, so it was just one less thing we had to do.
Right.
But just getting our hopes up, and once you join the military, that whole saying of just bend over. That's what happens.
Hope in one hand, shit in the other, and see which one fills up, right?
That too. So all the stress and all that, whatever, get to Bragg, do the in processing. And at this point, my mentality was like, all right, I want to be an asset, not a liability.
Right.
That still goes to this day.
On it should. It's a good mindset, because being a liability, nobody wants a liability.
Dude.
So
and it's a whole different world. Just from where I grew up to staying here once I got out, it's two completely different places.
Right. Yeah.
Small town. I got buddies that are starting their own businesses from what they did since they were 16, 15.
Okay.
And all of a sudden you come out here and everybody's trying to find an excuse not to do something. Like now flipping a burger.
Well, there's an excuse for everything, for especially the newer generations, unfortunately. But I like Stephanie. She's dealing with a lot of, you could say, the COVID babies, right? So all the kids that are in 4th and 5th grade right now, mainly 5th grade, they were the school year that COVID happened, and that was when they were in like kindergarten, 1st grade, basically.
Yep.
So where everything shut down, and so it was up to the parents to teach the kids. And so you can really tell. And she said, these kids they don't care. There's no respect, and like you said, asset over liability. And all these kids they're going to be a liability. So it's, go on.
Still time to change that. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
It's the mindset, man.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
So you're getting stationed at Fort Bragg, right?
Stationed at Fort Bragg. So hit the boots hit the ground running. Try and be the difference. Here I am, PFC now, joined as a fuzzy. So PFC got a year and a half, almost 2 years in service at this point. And I think we just had to change chutes out. There's a specific spot. Wasn't DRC. It was in the bunkers.
Oh, yeah.
We got to change all the pilot chutes out on the G11s.
Bundles and stuff.
G12s.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've been there a few times.
So yeah, unknown place with an unknown source that's in there. We had to go in there and change out the soon-to-be expired pilot chutes. Go in there, and all of a sudden here I am showing the specialists and the sergeants on what to do, because I paid attention. I'm like, what in the hell is going on here?
Yeah. Well, because you care, right? And that's, I think, a big part of it. Like, some people will sit there and care about their performance, and they care, but it's more to make other people look good, or, I guess make yourself look better to other people. But for you, I know it's more internal than that, right? It's something you want to prove to yourself, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And in some ways, it's like proving to the people that doubted you, but screw them. It's more about proving to yourself what you're capable of, and so, but yeah, no, I love that. So yeah, keep going.
So once that became a thing, I started off in heavy pack again. I feel like that's like the big starter place.
Yeah.
Not too bad, but went from doing the G11s and G12s to the extraction chutes.
Oh, yeah.
So I had the E5 that was in charge of me, Sergeant Crockett. He was great, man. It wasn't like a do as I say, how I say it when I
All
say
right.
it. It was, all right, read the manual, figure it out, and call your rigor checks,
Yeah.
which is when you do that, and raise your hands, call rigor, they got to call and come over and make sure that everything's good to go.
It's a quality check, right? Those that you don't know, right? It's basically just to step in and say, yep, everything's right. By the book, let's move forward. So
Next step, boom, here we go. So he was great. He took me under his wing. He was older. I think he was about the same age as you.
yeah, yeah.
But he was a great dude. And then came time to, there was talk about a rotation going on. I think it was August. So I got to the unit in June, and then August timeframe there was hearsay about taking volunteers to do a rotation in Qatar or Qatar. Potato.
Yeah.
Anywho,
So what was Qatar like? Because I had the opportunity, or almost had the opportunity, and it got pulled from me because injuries and stuff. But
well, first off, man, it's bright as fuck. Yep. You need sunglasses. I don't care who you are.
yeah.
You're going to have that beautiful sun tan line on your eyes. Great.
Like I had a guy that was fishing boat captain for us, dude, and you could see he took him off, and it's like, dude, he had a spray tan almost. But he's been on a boat all day long, and then he's wearing long sleeves all day, so you see him roll it up. He's like white as I am, but brown as that fence back there. So it was so funny.
Love
but
that.
yeah, no, I get you on that. So no, I would have loved to go to Qatar just to experience it. I know we actually, did you hear about the attack in Syria?
Yeah, just recently.
Yeah, like
I read a little bit
yesterday or
about
today.
Yeah.
Killed 2 service members and I think injured a few others. So our heart goes out to them.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so kind of moving forward towards your experience getting in, and we served together there for a solid bit of time, hand in hand, long nights, right? Kind of like with Z, right? Oftentimes it was me, RJ, and Z. We were working hand in hand. RJ was my sergeant, essentially my squad leader at the time, or I guess in charge of me. So I know it's kind of weird for him being the young gun and me being grandpa, and here he is in charge of me. But again, he was able to identify I was capable, and he didn't have to micromanage, right? So I want to kind of focus, though, RJ, because I know the big thing that hit both of us, right? We talked about it just because of how close we were to getting out, like our separation. My medical retirement was kind of happened literally side by side. So I want to ask you, but really, what led to you deciding to move forward and go an alternate route? So when you left, what made you choose to leave the Army?
Still battling with that today, man.
So
I wasn't fully committed on getting out, but I also wasn't fully committed on staying in. And if you're staying in, my firm belief is you sign that contract, you're going to give it everything.
Right, you got to be dedicated.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and being in, I'm sure you can attest to this too. You can point out the multiple handfuls of people that don't have that same mindset.
Right.
So then here you are stressing yourself out,
Picking up
putting more
more slack. Right. Yeah.
And
so
then
I get that.
For what?
Yeah. So I guess in many ways, then, and the lack of competent people, right? I think that is a big part of it, right? And that's where it's now blending into the leadership, right? You have people that are incompetent but getting pushed forward because that's just how the system works, right? So I get that, right? And I know there's a lot of old guys, back from like that were serving 90s, early 2000s, even late 2000, 2010, and they were saying a lot of things have changed, right? Things have changed drastically, and that's more. Many of them made a decision to get out because of that, right? So what was the mindset for you? Let's say that day that retirement happened, or not retirement, but separation. Retirement for me, but separation for you happened, and you're like, all right, this is it. So what was that feeling right then and there?
About making up my mind, or on the last day?
Last day into the next day.
So the last day, I mean, kind of how Z was, you're on leave, you finish your out processing, you got one more signature to get. And I was actually house sitting Austin's place at the time, so I wasn't home.
Okay.
And it was bittersweet, but it was emotional in a sense of I'm going to miss the chaos.
The brotherhood, the camaraderie, I get all that too. I think for me, like the biggest loss and where I think a lot of people end up is like the purpose, right? You're not really serving anything bigger than yourself at that point. So
Yeah.
it's weird to kind of settle into that mindset. Like, how can I serve more than just me, right? How can I? And so, like for you, you made a decision and you moved into a new job. We'll get into that. But that mindset, keep going. I want to kind of enter your frame of mind at that point, your emotional state, and then we can kind of move forward from there.
So really respect Austin, but he also pissed me off with these words. You know, he was doing exactly what Z did when you're getting out. He was like, all right, well, you know what? I think I'm going to stop by the shop. I'm going to go check in on people and see if they need an extra hand or whatnot. Well, Austin saw me coming in there and he just stops me. He's like, you know, you are replaceable, right? I never wanted to hit someone so freaking bad in my life, dude. Son of a bitch.
Like, I get what he's saying.
I get it, but it was a hard truth that I needed to hear, right? Because it's like, I want to take on as much as I can to help out.
It was, yeah. And you always did that. You overloaded yourself, and you know.
Oh, absolutely, dude. There was a soldier in particular. You remember Miguel?
Yeah.
Him and I didn't see eye to eye at the beginning,
right?
But then once he saw and understood what it was like and what I was trying to do, because it was like I couldn't put it into words.
Right.
So I mean, of course, during this duration, you're going to hear me fumble over my words, mispronounce some stuff and whatnot. Thank God we got master's degree here to fix that. Or edits. So he pulled me aside one time and he was just like, hey, I'm sorry for not being the person that you could rely on, but now you can.
Right.
And I understand what you're trying to do and I appreciate you. And I'm like, what the fuck? The hell? What?
That's a flip, right?
Yeah. So here I am. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, I know he's hardworking. And then once we got Packinins in there, and dude, those guys went to town. It was crazy.
Oh yeah.
But it
they put on their music and just get to it.
Dude, like no questions asked, man. It's like, hey, this is the mission for the day. All right, cool. And they start writing down everything that needed to be done on their end. And
no, we had a good crew. That was good.
I'm gonna keep losing my train of thought.
So you're talking about Miguel, and I was basically focusing on how you overloaded yourself.
Yeah, that I would ask every person. I'm sure I've asked you a handful of times. It's like, hey, man, be real with me. You're not gonna get in trouble. I just need to know, how can I be a better NCO and stuff like that. And no, dude, everybody would just bullshit me the entire time.
I wouldn't bullshit you. You know I wouldn't. I never have.
I'm just kidding. No, so, but the one thing everybody has always told me was like, you're too hard on yourself.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I'm like, well, what else am I supposed to freaking do? You know, I'm trying to stop the shit from sliding down all the way down to the low end of the totem pole.
Yeah, no, I get that.
But it's, I would say, the Joes treat them like your kids.
Right.
I can't treat you like my kid.
You didn't need to, though. That was my whole point. It's like, I'm old, I'm grown, I don't need anybody to look after me. You know?
There was one, maybe two people that needed that extra guidance.
The extra oomph, you could say.
Yeah.
Or at least a clear picture. You know, I think a lot of that is, you know, I had one of the guys, I won't say his name, but in basic, he's like, hey, you like a brother, like a dad to me. He's like, can you call me on my shit? Let me know, like, when I'm being stupid. You know, he's 19. He's from Puerto Rico. And I was like, yeah, man, I got you. And
right now.
Yeah. And so there's one point, like, he did something stupid. I was like, hey, man. I was like, this is one of those points. I was like, you got to. And he's like, no, fuck you. I'm just going to do me. I was like, all right, man. You asked for my help. I'm not like.
Yeah.
So. But no, so the kind of back to the mindset for you. I know it was really an emotional roller coaster, right? There's ups, there's downs, maybe more downs than ups, right?
Oh yeah.
And those ups are great, but the downs are what really pull you under, right? And so I know mentally, like it was as it was for me, and you know, you and I have kind of talked and gone through the things, but the biggest thing I wanted to talk about is what was your emotion like? right? So let's say the week after you got out, like how was your emotion? Did you notice, like, did other people notice it? Like, what was that like for you?
Well, like I said, I was house sitting. I can't remember for how much longer once I got out, but the day I did get out and got my DD 214, just went back to Austin's place, turned on the TV, and that was it. Took the uniform off, packed it in a bag, haven't touched it since. Um, haven't even looked at it, to be honest with you.
I get it.
Um,
I get it.
like I said, it's like you put so much effort into something, and then all of a sudden it's done and over with, and then those words, "you are replaceable,"
And
still hurts, but I know he didn't mean it like that. It was just
Right.
like, dude, you can't like kill yourself over
Right.
this because someone else is just
Yeah.
going to take your spot.
Yeah.
Now it's just the
Get
size
that,
of the
right?
shoe that you
But you
put.
couldn't see that at that time. Right?
Exactly.
It's all perspective. And I talked a lot about this in the last episode as well, as perspective, understanding, like, sometimes you don't see that perspective when you first hear it. You get that knee jerk, that gut reaction, like, hey, fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
I'm replaceable. What do you mean I'm replaceable?
Yeah.
But realistically, like you said, he's trying to tell you, and I get that, like, hey man, you're putting yourself, you're too far out there.
Yeah.
There's a balance that you need to find, and I'm hoping that you're finding that, because like you
Still a
said,
work in progress, man.
as it is, it should be. But that's you. It's hard to change, not so much change, I guess, who you are, deep down to your core. But there's a level, there's a balance, right, to, I guess, a guard, not to tear yourself down. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So let me see your list real quick.
Oh boy.
So
I didn't graduate yet.
no, it's okay. It doesn't matter. We got a list here, and I love this because I want to talk about a lot of the things that RJ has written down here. We may not be able to talk about all of them, but I know he had a lot of questions, and I know he had some things that he wanted to talk about in this episode. So we're going to shift a little bit of understanding kind of what I wanted to display about RJ and his background. But I want to focus on, obviously, what you have here, and pick. Let's go with just one for now, right? We'll go through a handful, but whatever's most important to you at this point. Like, what do you want to talk about?
Well, it depends what kind of mood you want me in. You want me to be pissed off, or no? I'm not that. You want the realness, you want the helpfulness, or
let's talk real, and then we can talk help.
All right. So the real part, we covered a little bit of it with like the whole COVID thing, and
Right.
my beliefs on how the rank system is. I don't know if it was just because of the MOS itself, right, and then the lack of people.
Well, I'm talking, my buddy who's 11. Is it Delta? Indirect fire. Delta? Charlie. Yeah, Charlie. So he went in as an 11X, right?
Yep.
But he was supposed to be infantry, broke his femur, and then got reclassed into 11 Charlie. So, but it's the same all around.
Right.
It's not just us, But anyways,
that boat. I remember I was at 30th AG because I had to go through that whole step.
Yeah.
And we're all like, "Are we gonna be Bravos or Charlies?"
No,
dude?
he was going. He was trying to go. Well, I guess he broke his femur in RASP, or like.
Oh, he had that option 40 deal.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, dude.
So he got reclassed, and he's like, "Man, that was hard."
I
get it.
I bet, man. But as far as I've got a few friends still in the infantry world. I don't know if they're just lollygagging their time, want to stay in that E4 mafia mindset, or try and look up. Not too sure.
Right.
You could tell some people that don't mind going in depth about what their plan is, and others that don't have a plan. They're just comfortable with
riding the wave, as they say. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. But at least some things that I've picked up, especially being an NCO as a parachute rigger. First and foremost, you got to see how important your job actually is.
Right.
And a lot of people don't actually look at the big picture. They're just looking at the president like, seriously, I got to do this? I got to go instruct these people on how to do something? Like, what the hell?
And I've talked about this, I think, in a previous part of the podcast, is our job largely is more important than personnel pack, right? Because personnel pack, it's, a lot of it is just to keep with tradition, right?
Yeah.
But ours real-time mission, like it's consistently being used in a real-time mission, whereas personnel pack is training, but it's never really being used consistently in a mission format, right?
Right.
So that's where I say, like, I'm not saying our job is more important, but our job definitely does more consistently impact the mission.
Right. And not to
Right.
piss all the personnel packers off out there, it's just
That's a hard job. I don't envy them
repetition
at all.
and all that stuff. I'm so glad I wasn't in that.
It would drive
I'm so
me
glad
mad.
I wasn't in that.
Yeah.
However, I understand how you take it, but
Right.
for those that are listening, if there is another personnel pack person out there, he's not saying that your job doesn't mean shit. It's the simple fact of, like, in real world scenarios, we still jump to this day for training and tradition. That I don't know if or when there will be another combat jump.
I
It
wouldn't
could
doubt
happen,
it. Right. I wouldn't doubt it if it
but
does
there's
happen.
a lot of other things that
Right.
got to happen way before
Right.
that specifically.
But those that drop in, where do they get all their equipment?
Absolutely.
Right? So again, like RJ said, I'm not saying our job is more important. I guess it just does largely impact on a day-to-day basis, right? Our mission impacted every part of life, and it was whether it was drops for humanitarianism or whether it was military, the whole Ukraine situation, right? All those different situations, there's always a mission. There's always a mission. So.
It did take me to be on that rotation to see how important our job was. So our main focus over there, we weren't dropping vehicles by any means. It was all CDS, container delivery systems.
Right.
So
little bundles.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm telling you guys, it was all the classes, minus the fuel. So all of them but that. But we were dropping medical supplies, clothes, food, water. Not going to say that, but however, we dropped a lot of stuff, and then we were getting feedback from the people, because this was still while we still had troops in Afghanistan, in Jordan, and stuff like that. Or don't even know if I'm supposed to be saying that. Just in those combat areas, and we would be getting feedback and pictures of, like, hey, this is what happened to your bundle upon impact. It just fucking exploded, and now all that 500, 600 pounds of shit gone.
So we see that in training missions all the time, right?
Yeah.
With the, what is it, the 10, 20% fail rate, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So we had expected it, but like you said, we see it in the training format, but then you see it in a real world mission, then you understand how it impacts those that need it.
Yeah.
So I get that.
I can't remember what freaking event on the spot it was. I just remember I was eating chow. We were about, Chief was still there. So it was within the first 3.5 months of being there. It was right around the whole Afghanistan pullout stuff. Right. So I remember being at the range here on Fort Bragg when that initially started.
I was in AIT when that happened.
August 2021, right?
Yeah, I was in AIT when that happened. So we actually had a lot of refugees come from there and post up in Virginia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude, they had like whole spots set up for it. So that was cool to see. And we actually had some details that went down and helped with it. I got stuck on mail detail. But...
Yeah, that's important, man. That's a federal job right there, son. Yeah, I used to be a mailman.
Yeah, so back to like you said, you noticed how our job really impacted the real world mission, which goes into, and I really want to focus on this for a second, it goes into, like you said, putting in your all into a job. Because if you go into it and you do a half-assed job on something, like, with a humanitarian bundle that has food or supplies or whatever it is that might save lives, and then you half-ass it and go drop it, and again, it shatters upon impact and none of it's usable.
It's a platoon-size element right there.
Right. So again, that's the whole point, like RJ was saying, is putting forth, you want to be an asset, not a liability. And I think that's a huge, huge thing outside of military, like anything, like in a family environment, in a corporate environment, wherever you're at, like being an asset over a liability is a huge, huge thing, because again, it impacts real world lives. And we don't see that. Like it's that butterfly effect, right? So that's a huge thing, because we don't see how important it is. And like I said, on the training side, we're like, oh, that bundle blew up. But then you see it, you're not laughing at that point, right? You realize that, like, every part of what you just did and the work that you did, and who knows why it did what it did, right? But that person's lives now change because they don't have that bundle. So I want you to keep going on what you were saying though, but I wanted to really hit that because, like you said, with the asset, the liability, that's a huge part of what you're saying here. So
It was the workup for it and everything. I wouldn't say we over prepared ourselves. I feel like we trained the perfect amount, but the big difference between doing the training to the actual mission, you know, it's like when you go to airborne school, you're just like, holy shit, I'm about to jump out of a fucking plane. But then when you actually stand up, hook up,
yeah,
boom, there you go. You're not
your
even
mind goes
you're training,
blank.
just boom,
Yeah.
there you go, and
Yeah.
out the door you are. Chute opens, praise Jesus,
Walk
keep
forward.
on going.
Or I said shuffle forward.
Yeah. But at this point, it was, we had our, what the fuck did we, our changeover from the old unit to
Right.
who we were replacing over there.
A command, command change.
First mission by ourselves. Holy shit, there was a lot of prep work to go into it because you got all the
This is why you're still deployed, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. This was the EDM with the honeycomb. Of course, now I want to know the nomenclature when I'm out.
Yeah,
But when I'm in, never used it.
Cardboard.
Yeah.
No,
So-
honeycomb. It's just really thick cardboard.
And it was just 22 of us that were out there. 20 of us were Joes, 2 NCOs, and then you
Okay.
had your E6s and your acting first sergeants and chief, and then lieutenant.
Right.
So, with that, after the first mission, it took a lot longer than it should have, but we all came together and I was like, all right, what can we do to be more efficient with this?
So I get that.
Absolutely. I'm definitely going to touch base on your ingenuity on that.
But yeah, that
that deserves a lot of praise. I think they're still using them, by the way.
I hope
they better.
so.
If not, they're fucking dumb.
There's a way to, I don't know. There's an easier way to do it, but it simplified it for sure.
Definitely. But over the course of, so mission was every, well, it was like 10 to 15 days. Can't remember. But it's not like we worked hard for the first, 3 to 4 months to get to where we needed to be, to where it was like, all right, now we could do a skeleton crew.
So it's like automating, right? You wanted to set yourself up so you could simplify it,
Absolutely.
right? And that's like what we wanted to do, right? We essentially, and that's, us and everybody else in that the shoot cage, clustered everything, right? We wanted to simplify the process so that we could make it quicker, right? We could plan and prep for missions and we could do all these things, but planning and prepping was a huge part to what RJ is saying right now. And so again, we live that, right, in the shoot cage.
Yeah.
So
just going there. So I mean, we worked months without a day off, or then we'll cut the group in half, and then half of us will have half a day off, and then
right.
Just to prep all the honeycomb, get everything organized, get inventory on everything, because of course with those guys that are in these combat areas out doing missions and everything, they're sending us a list of, hey, this will really boost our morale, send us the protein shakes,
this, yeah.
and then this is what we absolutely need, so don't send anything else but this.
We need halal meals.
So here we are, we're taking notes, we're prepping all the materials, we're taking inventory of the materials. Hey, now we got to order more stuff,
right?
And then the truckload comes in with all the honeycomb boxes, and here's 5 of us, and it was like, well, I guess now we got to build a fucking tower, don't we? And
well, if anything,
there we
you
go.
have a future in logistics. So
and my brain doesn't compute. That's all right though.
But like you said, it's training. Your brain doesn't compute until it's like an automated process, right?
Yeah.
But so you got honeycomb in, right? You got the logistics, right? So you had to order new equipment or new, food, water, whatever it might be.
It's like during the time it freaking sucked, right? Especially, I mean, dude, the weather over there, hot as hell during the day, and then once that
cold,
dude, God bless.
Yeah. No, that was, I didn't grow up in there, but I grew up in Idaho, so it would be 110, 115 degrees, and then it would drop down, to what, 30, 40, 50, maybe 50, but like I was in Stanley, Idaho in July, bro, and it started snowing. I was like, what?
Where's that?
It's up in the mountains, Stanley.
Compared to Coeur d'Alene.
Basically halfway. Do you know where Boise's at? No, I wouldn't
geographically
even say
challenged.
halfway. So it's like over. It's literally dead center of the bot. Like you have the panhandle of Idaho.
Yep.
And then you have the big chunk at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's dead center almost, like right at the top of that big chunk.
Okay.
Up in the mountains. But
Oh,
yeah, dude, it's like I don't know, 8,000-9,000 feet. So, but it snowed in July. So, so the I couldn't imagine though working. We already had to work in the shop. When it was 100, 110 with
boy.
90, 100% humidity. So I want to know the comparison because you and I lived it in the shop. So what was the
there
heat
is no
like?
comparison. There was no comparison. It's humid here. Over there,
Right.
dude, it was just hot. It was miserable. You're right next to the freaking airfield, so they got jets over there. So what's it?
You got all
And
the
you're
heat
just like,
coming
oh my
off
god,
of
the
that,
building's shaking, and there you go. But I mean, we only needed to turn like 1 or 2 lights on because then you got the sun rays going through the military stuff, military grade building structure, right?
Yeah.
So, and then once you step outside, it's bright as hell. It's hot, but thank goodness we were allowed to wear black shorts and our tan t-shirts.
Oh, okay.
But then if we were going to go to anywhere else,
it was kind of like dressing down at Headers, right?
Yeah.
We could drop our top or whatever it might be, just because it's hot. But no, I get that, like the heat and everything, and working in the heat. Like I used to have to move hay, big old bale, 100, 150 pound bales of hay when I was younger, in like 110, 120 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
It's not fun. So I get what you're saying on that, and so to kind of dive further into what you're saying, though, I want to keep going with your story, and then kind of talk some more about what you want to talk about. But so the heat, let's keep going with that.
Yep. One, thankful that we weren't the people in the field, because I mean, can you imagine just being out there with all the sand? I still hear stories to this day.
Nope.
Work with a lot of veterans.
I'm sure they're still probably finding sand somewhere. No, I'm good. Like that's rough. My hat goes off to you. That's
But I mean, no, I'm thankful for that. It was kind of a bougie life compared to what they had to go through. But yeah, it was hot as hell. The water that we had, I don't think we were able to drink from the water fountains and everything. So we had to drink bottled water, and it already had salt in it. They would say the X amount % salt.
Let's dehydrate you while you try to hydrate.
But I mean, when you're sweating, what are you sweating out? All the sodium, right? So you got to replenish it somehow.
Well, yeah. So it's like Gatorade or Pedialyte.
Yeah.
Pedialyte. Dude, have you ever tried Pedialyte?
Yeah, I've had the Army's finest.
It tastes like salt. It's sick.
Yep.
It's
I used to live off that shit, man. Rucking and all that stuff. It saved my life a few times. That much.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, just yeah, it was fucking hot over there. I can't get over that. And then, we'd go on runs and everything. I was like, what the fuck was I thinking? Yeah, you get cotton mouth. You can't. Yeah. But it's all right. I'd take where I was at compared to where a lot of people were.
Right. Well, and that's, again, I love that you brought that up, because that goes back to the perspective. I don't know if you watched the full episode 3, but I actually talked about one of my buddies, Abduli, that I talked to on occasion from Africa, right? And it's the whole perspective of like my whole well, and I'm still having problems because now my toilet broke. It just doesn't stop. But anyways, perspective really matters, because looking on the outside and understanding like what other people are going through versus what you're going through, like RJ said, it could be a hell of a lot worse. I could be posted up in a shanty sleeping without anything over the top of my head, like a lot of these guys, like you said, in the field. So there is a lot of caveats to that, right? Where we have to appreciate what we have in that moment, as much as it may suck. And it really sucked, right? The heat sucked. It still sticks with you. But there's always somebody who's dealing with something probably worse than what you're dealing with. I'm not going to say that that's always the case, because if you're going through a lot right now, I don't want to take away from that. So, RJ, I want to real quick before we jump into something else, finish what you were saying about your deployment, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful throwing the word deployment out there.
Okay.
Definitively, it is correct, right?
Yeah,
but then just having the habitats that we did.
Your training exercise.
Yeah, man. It'll be an extended TDY. We'll put it that way.
Okay, yeah.
But in the sense of a deployment, and I'll still fight this, you know, I'll give everybody the benefit of the doubt that's actually had to go live in the field, live in the damn man-made tents, and
post up it like background, or you know.
Yeah.
But, I forget staff sergeant, right? Sergeant first class.
Who?
I forget his name. But he actually was in Afghanistan when everything was going on, and that explosion happened. We don't have to name names, but you know who I'm talking about, though, right? So that gave, again, perspective.
Talking about the one, the tall one,
the older guy. No, the older guy wore. Do you have glasses? He was older. He's shorter than I was, but he was old. Sure.
Well, no, you're gonna have me thinking, man.
But no, he was often at motor pool, right? But he didn't do a whole, like, he had an odd job, right? So his was like, started with an H. Like I said, I don't want to name names, but
no, it's gonna kill me.
We'll talk about it later.
I remember his name.
Like, hey, but no, like, again, that gave me perspective, right? Even as a rigger, he talked about being in Afghanistan.
Yep, I know who you're talking about now.
Still dealing with a lot of the things that you may deal with as, you know, an infantry personnel or whatever it may be, right? So it's not like the rigger field, the 92 Romeo field is, you know, invincible to, you could say, conflict, right?
Yeah.
But that, yeah. So, but again, you're still over there affecting missions that, while you may be okay in this spot that's not necessarily in direct fire of whatever it might be, right? But we don't know that because of what just happened to Syria. Yeah. So there's things that, as a serviceman anywhere in the world, like, there's places in the world that will really accept who we are, where we're at, accept our protection, whatever it might be. But we then become a target, right? That's why we no longer dress in, our uniform on a plane, right? Because we become a target. They talk so much about that in training, going into training, moving up from training into AIT, moving to the unit, whatever. But it really was like not making yourself a target, right? And that's why they talk about like social media and all these other things, is because we do become a target. And to many other cultures, what we're doing is not necessarily the right thing, right? But, it kind of goes back to my pagan roots. Like, what's right for one person isn't necessarily right for the other person, So I want to go back to your deployment, though. So that deployment, how did that end for you?
I feel like, I mean, those who were there know who did what, and
right.
Who the hard hitters were, and those who just put on a show until they were tired of it.
Right.
So, I mean, it wasn't bad. I'd say for the most part, we had a good group. There were a few
showed
hiccups.
Up enough, and you had shit bags, right?
Yeah, everywhere.
Dude, that was the hardest part for me. Like, and some of the names, right? But some of the people that were like class A shit bags, like they knew how to work the system. They knew, how to do everything they could think to.
I'm gonna just throw this out there because the most ridiculous profile I've ever heard of. There's two of them by the same person.
Probably know the person, but
no talking profile. And the lay down profile. By the same person at the same freaking time. I don't know how the fuck you pulled it off.
How long was the no talking profile?
God, if I know. But I just remember.
I get like it's
turning over, and all of a sudden I got
something like that. But
he's got his NCO. What the fuck are you doing? Why are you talking? Fucking lay down on the concrete at headers, and I'm like, what the fuck is going, dude? What's up with that guy?
The new emotional card, like they can pull it basic or whatever.
I feel like that's been a lie, because that was told to me before I even went in.
Bro, I watched one person use
serious?
it. Yes, I watched one person using it in basic training.
I never seen it.
But I mean, they were tearing him up. Like, they were, like, don't get me wrong, but he also fucked up royally. Like, so yeah, you're gonna get torn up because, like you said, asset, liability. Like, and I get, like, the drill sergeants, looking back on it now, like, they're trying to do exactly that. They don't want a fucking liability in the military, so they're either gonna make you figure it out or they're gonna weed you out.
Yep.
And they did that to many people.
And that's one of my regrets of getting out. Well, I shouldn't say regrets. It was more of a plan if I would have stayed in. Definitely would have wanted to be a drill sergeant.
Dude,
now
as much as I would love that, dude, the time, like, but I
Yeah.
would, like you said, I would love, like, I already sit there and think about, like, oh man, it would be so fun to mess with some of these privates, you know.
My
Like,
mindset's the other way on that one. It's like, yeah, I mean,
but I would be
you'll
a fun,
find
you know.
you'll find that Gomer pile in there and have fun with them. But no, like you were saying, the time effort that you got to put in. So I mean,
18-hour days.
Yeah.
Know?
I mean,
I
shit,
get
dude, we
you
were
to
doing that.
Oh,
We
yeah,
were,
I guess
and
you're not
sometimes
wrong.
even more. But at the same time, I mean, it is more stressful because it's
Right.
on you. It's like a recruiter. Nobody
Yeah.
knows the numbers that they fucking need, the stress that they're put under. And hey, you get a bad NCOER because you can't pull in people. It's like, I can't make people want to join.
Yeah.
Make it make
Apparently our
sense.
recruiting
Well,
numbers
fuck
are
you.
up, though, so.
Yeah, now. I mean, dude, don't go by headers, but go by headers and you'll see how fucking full that place is. Now you'll be like, there's this many people now?
That's
God
crazy.
bless.
How recently have you gone there?
A week, 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Don't tell my boss now, though. I'm working always.
Hey, you're doing an inspection. You got to make sure that yours is up to code.
Yeah.
Good to go, you know?
Absolutely.
But so your deployments, right? So I want to really focus on obviously the big picture of everything, because now that we're out, right? What was the hardest part for you with being out?
I guess it's still the biggest problem that I have is one that I had when I was in, is not seeing my self-worth.
Okay.
So that's a big one, right? I have all these dreams and aspirations that I want to do.
Can I ask you, RJ, if you wouldn't mind, why don't you see yourself as the worth, right? Because I see you, right? I see you, and as Austin has seen you, and as Z has seen you, and as, you know, Dylan has seen you.
It's a good question, dude, because I don't have the answer to that. I've been seeing therapists for what, 2-3 years now, just trying to find the answer, bro. And it's like,
I'm on that same route. I feel you, but the reason I ask that is just because you are genuinely a good person, right? And I think we all deal with that kind of battle where it's like, you know, am I a good person? Like, there's maybe so many people that are throwing doubt your way. Like, you do all these things, and then maybe somebody says something that makes you feel like you discount all of it, right? Do you ever feel that way? I'm just curious, because I feel that way. So, like, you do, again, because you do, right? RJ, I want you to think about that. Like, the amount of things that you did and the amount of ways you put yourself out there to help us, let's say while we were, you know, working it down at headers or whatever it might have been, right? There was a time I know that you worked both fucking shifts, right? Because there was no NCO for the second shift. So RJ, I want you to really start to fucking, like, bro, think about yourself and think about how much you give to other people. And I want you to start hopefully thinking differently about who you are, right? And maybe it has to do with having somebody in your life that reminds you of that. You know, I think that's a big part of having that, because if somebody sits there and constantly judges you and reminds you of your downfalls or whatever it might be, right? It doesn't matter what it is, but the more you're reminded of what you do wrong.
It's just myself that does that. Like, dude, but I don't know how to change it.
So no,
so right now,
I love that you brought that up. So this is where I want to go back to that R3 method that I talked about in my last podcast. So R3, right? Regulate, reset, and readjust. So regulate. If I was in a situation where I'm like, oh, I'm starting to get all negative in my head, I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like, dude, shut up. Just, dude, no. And I keep hearing the negative. Shut up. Nope. Shut up.
I should try that one.
So yeah, so
I feed into it. It's like I fucked up. Oh, don't fucking retard.
Right.
Goddamn.
See, again, you can't feed because, dude, it's a vicious circle, right? It's a circle that continues to drain down into whatever, right? But regulating it, right? The best thing we can do, and if you tell yourself to shut up, right, in your head, that's what works for me. But you got to find what works for you. Maybe that will work for you. But anytime I'm like, you know, I think, or like I start to doubt myself or have this negative thought in my head, I'm like, dude, shut up. Like, dude, no, shut
like
up.
One of those.
Like every time, like it's the way, you know, I forget the video, but like when somebody's like, nope, shut up, nope, just shut up when you're talking to me, right? You know, it's like, So you have to tell yourself to shut up. You have to close off, and you have to regulate the mindset, that negative mindset. But then you have to reset. And so I'm going to be honest with this, right? You regulate, it's a temporary thing. It's not something that's going to fix every part of it. But if you regulate and say, dude, shut up, shut up, shut up. But you have to reset, which means, hey, I need to leave this situation, right? It's not so much like in any, like, think of an argument, right? You start getting more heated, more heated, more heated. And in your mind, you now need to regulate, you need to reset, and then you need to readjust your approach, right? So regulating just stops that initial mindset of like the negativity, the whatever it might be. Resetting is taking yourself out of an environment or whatever it might be. It's back to like, I talked about this in the last one. I don't know if you saw, but Happy Gilmore, right? He's got his happy place. And then Happy Gilmore 2, he had to adjust his happy place because he's like, well, I'm old now.
Yeah.
You know, and it was hilarious. But it made sense to me because, again, what did Happy Gilmore do to get in a good mindset to play good golf? He went to his happy place, right? So you got to regulate, take yourself out of that negative. And I talked about like the guy who said, jackass, right? I talked about that in the last podcast. So I was like, he literally did. He's like, jackass. And then it took him out, right? It took him out of his happy place. And so you can regulate that by, dude, shut the fuck up, and drown it out, right? It's hard to do that. I know regulating it is probably the hardest part of all of it. But if you can regulate it and you can shut off the negative, whether it's you, whether it's whoever, and then reset yourself, which means you may have to step aside and take yourself out of the moment and change your environment, change your perspective, right? But then you have to readjust. You have to find a new way to approach it. So I think of it like if you're doing like a project and you continue to fail and fail and fail and fail, right? You have to regulate your mind and say, hey, dude, keep trying. You're almost there, right?
Yeah.
Keep your mindset there, reset, but find a new way forward. Let's say all these mistakes, everything that's happening, right? Resetting is a way of evaluating it, right? And then you readjust to change your approach or change your mindset. It really works in all levels of it. So I want you to hopefully at some point, RJ, just to the R3 method specifically, because the negativity, like you said, you drown yourself into it.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. But it's also like I like to beat everybody else around me to the punch of calling me stupid or retarded. Because I'm telling you, if someone calls me that, dude, it's just like that rage just inside, and I'm just like, dude, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
So you're worried.
So I beat people to the punch. So then it's like, okay, I can't be mad at anybody else because I did it to myself, right? But it's weird.
But that's self-awareness, right, RJ? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I want you to think of like self-awareness. You're like, okay, I'm able to recognize these things about me.
Mm-hmm.
And in some ways, for like me, like I'm so honest to a fault. Like I recognize what I did wrong. And in so many ways, it makes other people feel bad because I'm like, you're right. I am an asshole. You're right.
Holy shit.
I did the wrong thing, right? Like I'm capable of that, but I'm also capable of making people feel terrible because that's just me, I guess. But
no, I do gotta say this. I know she's gonna listen, but to my wife, man, it was she didn't know what she was getting herself into when she moved out to Carolina. And then funny story, but part of me as far as sacrifices and everything like that and feeling the call to mission, right? Call to service, whatever the fuck.
Yeah. Mission service, right? Ours was mission though, right? So I get it.
Yeah. Once they started asking about volunteers to go, boom. I was like one of the first people to say, hey, I'll take you up on that. I got to do something. I got to do something with my time in.
And how did that impact your home life?
Oh, it was
because you were
I blame myself.
You were with.
Yeah. I was with my wife, and I never told her that I volunteered. I just told her, hey, I'm on the list to deploy.
So is she aware?
Oh, she knows now.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
Yep.
Oh boy. How was that tough?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I want to talk about that, RJ, because you make a very valid point in the fact that spouses of veterans go through a lot that even we don't know about, right? And so I do want to highlight that before we move forward, just because, I understand, with the mind fuck and everything that happens with somebody who gets taken out of service, whether it be through separation, whether it be through medical retirement, there there is a level to it, right? And I told Stephanie before I joined, I was like, I'm not going to let it change who I am. But then I had all these injuries that I never expected to be a thing.
Right. It changed you whether you wanted it to or not.
Right. And so that was the hardest part for me, was coming to terms with the fact that I said I wouldn't do this, and I basically did that.
Yep.
And dude, it was hard. And so back to what you were saying. So she is aware, right? So you did volunteer. So in the life of a veteran,
I think I told her like 2 days before we even fucking left, dude. I'm not kidding. That was, I fucked up. I laughed,
but
because it was like a holy shit.
And that's,
I
get
can't believe I did that, but I do want to say I appreciate her for sticking by me and everything. She had every right to say, "Are you fucking kidding me?" and then come back to an empty nest and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Still by my side to this day. It's not always perfect, but
never
we try. I mean, fuck, dude. Yeah, but I appreciate her more than words can put. And then the other thing too, the hard part, the spouses and everything. I had a mentor. I don't know if he'll listen to this. I hope he does. He did 8 years in the Marines, lateraled over to the Air Force, and retired out with them, with the Air National Guard or Reserve or whatever it was. But he got out as a E8. Yeah. But even then, he would tell me that he was in the shit, in the 2000s and everything, right?
Yeah.
And he told me straight up, it was like, if anybody reaches over my wife or like pushes her to the side to thank me for my service, I look them square in the face, and you're like, you better thank her for hers too.
Right.
The spouses, they sacrifice a lot too, and they, whether they know it at the time or what, they may be living, it's like, man, this fucking sucks. I didn't sign up for this. We appreciate you guys.
Well, and that's, to highlight that, right? I kind of talked about in the last podcast with my time when I joined. I was like, I'm going to join, and I'm not going to get deployed right away, right? But then I was gone 10, 11 months. And so I can't imagine, what that did to her. But also we didn't have our, Violet at the time, but we had Penelope. And so she has to deal with that. She had to work. She had, so props, right? It is absolutely a big thing, because as much as we want to talk about veteran, awareness and mental health and what we struggle with, but what we struggle with adversely affects those around us. So, I definitely appreciate that. And I wanted to highlight that, because it is a big thing that I'm hoping to expand this world, right? I'm hoping to expand it to having spouses, right? Having a whole separate podcast where spouses can do kind of the same thing we're doing, right? And so that's my goal here. Like, I don't want to leave anybody out. There was somebody who commented, I'm sure you saw it on Facebook, is like, oh, well, way to discount everybody that's died in service. I'm like, dude, really?
Absolutely not.
I'm not discounting any of that. I said, I'm trying to save those that are still here, and that was the biggest thing for me, was, why I wanted to do this was, even if it's one person, if it's two people, hopefully it grows from that. But if these conversations and these stories can help somebody, but that's why I want to expand it, to somebody like your wife and Stephanie and, others that are out there that are also dealing with something extremely similar.
No, it's like I love that you came up with the idea of this podcast, man. It's anybody who's signed that line to serve, you don't understand how much you are sacrificing until it's happened or it's happening. I'm not going to say it sucks, because there is some pride that goes along with those sacrifices, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, when the thing that I struggle with is, like, I signed up for one thing, wasn't good enough. It was like, dude, I say that I was prepared to sacrifice myself for the better, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know the best way to say this. Like, not gonna say I'm suicidal, but it was just like if it came down to it, yeah, I'd totally fucking
When I think
do it.
that again kind of goes back to this, like,
We got to edit that part out because that sounded horrible. That sounded horrible.
no, but that's the whole point of this, right? RJ, I want you to think of like the raw, the real, right? It's what you're feeling. And it's not to say it's wrong by any means, but I get what you're saying, because the whole reason I came up with the name, the Tavern After Dark, right, is the fact that we are all in, or not all, but a lot of us are in a dark place.
Yeah.
And it's not to say, like you said, it's not to say I am suicidal, but it is to say, like, I don't see my worth. I am in a dark place where I don't value who I am. So it has nothing to do with the fact that you are, say, suicidal, but it is hard to find that motivation. But that's why I hope having this conversation with you and hopefully highlighting the fact that you're a badass motherfucker, that
I'm not gonna be that has been,
but that you can start to recognize, I get it. It's hard to stay in that mindset of like, I am a good person, because so many people may remind you that you're not, and there's not enough that are reminding you that you are. Right? That's the hardest part about all of it, I think.
But I'd also say back about a minute or two, it was I still feel like after being in service, or I'm sure those who did 20 years, they'd be like, I feel like I could have done more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what hurts.
Yeah.
Because there is no amount that you can give. It's like, dude, I can't. The times where I've come home or stayed in the truck because I couldn't go into the house because I needed to decompress, and it could be anywhere from a couple minutes to a couple hours.
Right.
And just be like, what the fuck? Like what you go through that day, the toxicity that we had to deal with from certain people. In the moment, it fucking sucked. And I keep trying to create an alibi of like, oh, it wasn't that bad. But I mean, in reality, it was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
It was like, no, I understand we're in the army and everything. And it's like, you do what you're told when you're told and fucking get it done.
Yeah.
It's like, I get it. I'm not a huge why guy until certain aspects.
Oh, I'm all about being a why guy. So
to certain aspects, right? It's like, boom, this is part of the mission. Fucking do it. Cool.
Yeah.
But now if it was like, okay, everything's done, what the fuck are the troops still doing here?
See, yeah.
Can't we have a meeting that's actually like, fuck, what the fuck is that called? Like a good use of your time.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like, hey, dude, these guys live in the barracks. Just fucking send them back to the barracks.
Like
if we need them, we'll fucking call them back. Or that. You know what I mean? It's like there's so much fucking wasted time.
Yeah.
During the whole training part of it.
Yeah.
And just to do stupid shit.
Yeah.
It's like, why?
Well, so I want to talk to you about what you said about essentially finding a purpose, right? So like after the fact, like, like, oh, there's so much more I could have done, right?
Mm-hmm.
So take that and put that into what you're doing now, right? Because while you may sit here and think like, but you are doing a service job, right? You're doing a service to the people that are in these buildings.
Yeah, right? I just make sure if there's a fire that everything works so they can get the fuck out.
Right. So you save lives. So again, perspective, RJ, right? You have to look at this like, okay, yeah, there are situations where you could have done more, say in the military, but you've made the decision, right? You're in the boat where, now you are out, but you are still doing a job with a purpose. And that's what I want you to remind yourself about. But also, I want you to start looking towards something that is a passion, something that's personally, tied to you.
I got that.
So what do you got?
Well, it's the thing that I told you that we were going to start, but I can't seem to put myself to do it. I don't know why.
Remind me.
Because I want home inspections.
Oh, yes.
I want to do that. So that is what I want to do.
So I know you're going to school, right?
Yep.
You went to Arizona for a time, right?
Yeah, I
Full time?
went. No, I went to Spokane for a week for training in the fire alarm stuff,
Oh,
and
okay.
then I had to go to Arizona for a
Oh,
couple weeks.
yes.
My buddy's
Yeah.
dad passed.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I love that motherfucker, dude. He was as real as it got, man.
It's like a second dad.
Oh God, even more, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It was just
I'm sorry to hear that
he
story.
was a real dude, man. I think it was the pagans. Fuck, what's the god's name?
Odin?
Yeah, Odin.
So I got on my back. My tattoo.
Dude, that's what he believed in too. So it
Yeah.
was this guy, man. The amount of people he touched, and everybody's got a past, but I mean, he found a way to go from what he used to be to make a difference,
Right.
and then started helping those. Like his daughter's a school teacher, and he ended up buying like 20 bicycles
To give away to kids.
to give them to the kids.
That's cool. See, and that's what I hope. Like, if we can, make this whole podcast and the whole environment, the brand itself, like into something that could be a big thing. Like I talked about Abduli, and I want to be able to go out there. He talks about schooling and food and the things he doesn't have access to. Right? He's got to go to a well to pull up water. We don't have to do that, and that's like I want to be able to give back to these people. Veterans, people that are
Absolutely.
but there's people that are struggling all over the world that could use help.
Yep.
And so I hope to do that. Now I want to dive in. I know you had some things on your list there. What else do you want to talk about?
So, God bless. I say that instead of cussing. So I haven't done it.
Booger snot.
I haven't had too good of a job. Bob Saget.
That's the dad way to say it. Yeah.
As far as helping veterans go, if you're pretty much down in the dumps, you can't hold a job or whatnot like that, but you don't want to file for disability, whether it's a pride thing or you don't know how, you got to put the pride aside.
Hey,
as hard as that
rhymed.
is. Shut the fuck up, dude. God.
Yeah, put the pride aside. All right.
You son of a bitch.
All right, you gotta put the pride aside. It's okay.
Yeah. You gotta let the pride go, man. If you're that, dude, God dang, dude. Oh shit.
You gotta let the pride go. I got you.
Get rid of it.
Yeah.
It was explained to me this way by my brother-in-law. When you sign that dotted line, is it dotted? I don't know. When you sign the fucking line to serve,
micro dots.
The fucking government puts your disability. They already account for your disability and put it to the side, right? Not like lump sum.
Yeah.
But it's to the fucking side.
Every service member, yeah.
Every service member is, I'm not going to say entitled to it, because you goddamn better fucking do something with your time in. Make a difference in a way.
You are entitled to it. I mean, in a way, like if you've served your time honorably and you've done what you're supposed to do, there are things that you are entitled to. You're not wrong.
I just hate that fucking word.
I know.
So take it lightheartedly, or grain of sand, salt, whatever smaller. Entitlements to that. Now, when you go and do your, now what you got to claim, I recommend, they're going to have a list of shit that you can claim.
Yeah.
Copy and paste it into Chat GPT and say, explain what the fuck does this mean? Because it's all medical terms.
Right.
It's not it's not dumbed down.
They're all coded.
Exactly.
And that's like, I know I talked to you real quick about that because when I first found out I was getting retired, right, medically retired, I dove into that whole entire aspect.
Thank you for your service.
Shit. But I dove into that whole entire aspect, right, of what all these codes meant, right? What all this different whatever X, Y, and Z meant so that I could be prepared.
Yep. So just for example here, if you're going to claim a knee, right? There's two different claims for the knee that's under that one. There's flexion and extension. Who the fuck would have thought about that?
Yeah.
Okay. But that's just the gist of that. I mean, say if you want more information, I'd say ask me, but I'm not putting my personal information on this thing.
Well, post comment. You guys got questions? You know,
Yeah.
I'm definitely familiar with the process, whether it be separating, medically retired. You know, I've gone through the hoops. RJ's gone through the hoops, right? But definitely it is something that, like he said, you know, there's so many different aspects to how they rate or how they grade things and how you get your percentage. And, you know, it's a VA math, as I like to say, right? So you have 90% of good health left over, right? That's where the next 6%, 10%, 12%, 15, whatever gets taken away from, right? VA math, it's fantastic.
Yeah. Did you go over the example? So it's like they go off of your highest percentage, and then anything smaller than that, then it's that percentage of whatever the highest percentage is, say 70%. And your next one's 40, then it's going to be 40% of 70, and add that. So
what you think is 25% isn't really 25%, because let's say, like RJ said, if I have 50%, then I have 50% good health left over, is the best way to think about it. So that 50%, then I take 25% away from my 50, and so on and so forth, right? So no matter how much you think you're getting taken away, it slowly starts to diminish, especially once you hit the 90%. You start hitting 90%, and then 10% becomes 1, if you're lucky. 1%. So it is a big thing to come into it prepared. It is a huge thing.
Yeah, you gotta. That's a whole other mental game too. I'm sure you can attest to that. I fucking went through it. Dude, all the appointments and everything like that. So say if you got a job, you got to try and plan around that, or be able to sacrifice
school,
going to work to go to these appointments.
Yeah.
You can't miss any, because that's just going to go against you.
I think you can miss one.
You can reschedule.
Right. Yeah.
You can reschedule one time, and then after that,
extenuating circumstances, I'm sure, right?
The VA, they say for the veterans, I believe it to an extent, but I know someone that works in the VA system right now, and fuck it, dude. Just say it. Really struck a nerve with me when they were boasting about denied another one. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Are you fucking like, what the fuck?
I wouldn't doubt it, though.
I mean, everybody's got a job. I don't know what the left and right limits are and everything like that, but I mean, just the way that it was presented to me and how they reacted really struck a nerve. So
I get that,
especially just being in the fucking middle.
Well, again, it's back to you're replaceable. You're just a number type of deal.
Oh, absolutely. Right? So it's like, here you are, civilian, and it's like, well, it's not like you're looking for.
But thank you for your service. That's how they always put it in there. It's like, thanks.
Yeah. Anywho, file those claims, man. Sit down, make an appointment with your VSO. If the VSO doesn't seem like they're going to be too much of a help, I mean, a lot of it's going to have to come from you too.
Did you work with the DAV?
I did not.
So DAV is another one. So if you VSO, DAV, again, it's all free. You know, so I worked with DAV to get my disability rating up from the first initial rating after my medical retirement. So VSO, the DAV, find the benefits that are out there to help you get what you feel you're deserved, right?
Yeah. And don't lie, because they'll catch you real fucking quick too.
Yeah.
So be truthful, be honest. If you're hurting, fucking tell them, hey, I'm hurting.
No.
Like I went into an appointment and I had a fucking migraine, dude. It was like I got a migraine because I was so fucking stressed out that I was going to be late.
Right.
It was all the way up in Raleigh, and sure shit, didn't account to the fucking morning traffic.
Yeah.
Not used to that.
So the closer you get to your appointment time, the more anxiety you get.
I got there. It was 20 minutes past my fucking start time. And I think they said it was going to be an hour and a half long. I get there and I had a list of shit that they had to measure. And I walk in there and I could just feel it just start coming, dude. It started on the back of my neck and it just started creeping up. And I'm like, oh, fuck, this is bad.
Yeah.
So went in, started it. And at first she turned me away and was like, hey, you're going to have to come back another day. I was like, fuck. You know, I'm not going to give you an excuse because it's not who I am.
But this is Raleigh, and it's a long
fucked
ways
up.
away.
I fucked up. I didn't account for the traffic. I'm still here. Is there any way to just do like parts and pieces of the exam?
Right.
She's like, yeah, let's give me a couple minutes. We'll get squared away and then we'll do what we can. Boom, get through that one. And then at this point, dude, my head is just fucking pounding at this point.
Right.
Water's not helping. You know, that fucking, I don't know if you heard this trick, fucking rubbing the, what is that, the weenus?
No, your weenus is your elbow. I don't know what that is, but I know what you're talking about. There's a pressure point right there.
Yeah. So that wasn't fucking helping. It usually does. And then she's like, all right, just sit out there. I got to see this other guy for his appointment, and then I'll call you back in. I was like, all right, sounds good. So go outside, trying to get some fresh air, cool down, breathe, box breathing and all that fun stuff, drinking water. Shit was not helping, dude. I go back inside and it was like to the point, I was like, dude, I got to drive an hour and a half back home. Yeah. At this point, it's like the light is killing me. I'm like, hey, doc, I hate to do this to you. I appreciate you offering to make a sacrifice to get me in there on my fuck up for not accounting for the traffic. I got to reschedule.
Right.
And she's like, all right, no biggie. I'll see you next week. And it was a sigh of relief, but then again, it was like, I just want this shit to be fucking over with.
Right.
You know, you're just that guy again. They got you by the back of the fucking shirt and they're just holding you up and it's like, okay, come on now.
No, I also talked about that in my last podcast, just mentioning, you know, when I was talking to my psychologist before, she talked about how inmates, right, people who are on trial for whatever it might be, they have more anxiety because there's no decision. So regardless of the decision that gets made, they have more relief given that they have a determination, right, a decision, right, there's an end result. So like you said, now you're kind of still getting dragged along, right? So you don't have this end result, and so you don't have the answers or the definitive conclusion that you want. So I get that. So before we wrap up, RJ, and like I said, I would love to have you back on because this has been great. What's the one thing, and I want to always leave off on this, what's the one thing that you want to provide the listeners? Anybody who's listening, a veteran, anybody who's struggling, what's the best thing that's helped you so far keep your mentality straight?
Well, I've always been one of those people, damn it, I don't take my own advice. You know, I don't know why, but I should, because I feel like it's words of wisdom sometimes.
No,
it's
quit doubting yourself.
Nobody cares more about you than yourself. Nobody's going to take care of you more than yourself. Right. Like if you're struggling mentally and everything, the only person that can get the help is you.
Yeah.
They're not going to force themselves on you. The doctors won't force themselves into your life and say, oh, you need mental health. To an extent, they can not request, but advise you to.
Right.
But it's literally up to you to get the help. Yeah. Right. There's more.
That's a hard thing in itself, right? Yeah. To admit that you need that help, but that's the hardest thing, but the best thing, because if you can admit that you need it, you're now back on that path of becoming you again. You know. Be prepared for the feelings of vulnerability, because once you open that up, I mean, you're just like, holy fuck. Old doors will be opened.
So just be prepared for that, but you're definitely not alone. For those that are in service, one thing that I did use for it's a free service for active duty, and they don't keep records of it, is a military one source.
Right.
I believe it's 6 months free. So it's like 1 or 2 appointments a month that you can get. And then at that point, if that helps you, cool. you
Right.
know, and then you can move on from there. But if it doesn't, then I'd highly advise you go to the talk to a chaplain. You know,
Yeah.
they're there for you, literally.
Right.
Um, and then
Really anybody. And I think, like, I was telling Stephanie, I said the biggest thing is it's not even to just talk to somebody and tell me, like, hey, this is your problem. It's literally just to tell them what I'm thinking, right?
yeah,
And all these other things that are going through my head, and to get another perspective, right? I keep talking about perspective,
it is
but
huge.
it is it to basically just say, hey, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm going through. Can you tell me more about that, right? To help you understand, like you said, you never were a huge why guy, at least in training, but that's me. Like, I'm a why guy. I want to know why am I feeling this way? Why am I going through the emotions I'm going through? So to understand that and correlate it to a situation or whatever it might be that helps you understand it. So, but yeah, I'm keep going. What you
Military one source is great. As for veterans, man, you guys just gotta, if you want the help and you complain that nobody is willing to help you, you there's shit out there. I
there is
promise. Um, do the research or go to the VSO, the DAV, and they'll point you to the right way. The American Legion, they'll hopefully they'll fucking point you in the right way. Otherwise, it's just I hate the pissing contest, man.
right. Check with your state, check with your county, check
Yeah,
with your city.
absolutely. But as a veteran alone, you may have to actually go into the VA hospital and say, "I need help,"
Right,
and then they at that point they cannot refuse you. They need the help.
right.
So
So, like RJ said, and to kind of close everything out, um, with the Tavern After Dark, we've talked about this and really just focusing on the darkness that we all run into and the situations that we deal with silently, or, maybe people don't understand. And I know RJ has a lot to talk about because, he's been through a lot. We've all been through a lot. And so I want to definitely get RJ back on here and talk about some of the things that he wants to talk about, because there are a lot of things that to highlight, whether it be finding a job, whether it be the resources, like you said, that are out there, the military one source. So definitely look into what's out there for you. But again, if this has helped you guys in any way, please like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever it might be. But thank you again for listening. And RJ, thank you again for being here tonight. I know you have to get to your dinner and all that, but I don't want to keep you too long. But like I said, I do want to have you back because I think it would be a good opportunity for us to explore some more of the things that you would like to talk about as well. So thank you for your time.
thanks for having me, man.
But everybody, again, this is Tavern After Dark. Thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all have a good night.